Hello, I would like to give you a short demo about D&R Software License Management Enterprise Platform, and it's written with Intelligent Advisors. I would like to show how you can bring intelligence when you make decisions in managing software licenses. You need three ingredients to manage with intelligence: a very good front end to see which is available, which licenses are available. We suggest that you have interface to monitoring data. That means that you have in place a license monitoring and that you can launch commands like lmstat to know exactly which users are using the software. And then, based on that data, how can you create intelligent advisors to help you to know if you should purchase more, less, or should you go through a remix, and so on. So we will show you that on a real demo. So here I have a front end. The front end, you see a list of products. Usually companies have a list of, I would say, dozens or several dozens sometimes of software that they license. So you have it's called EDA licenses, tools like MathWorks, LabVIEW, and many others. So the front end should show to the company which products are available, what are the current licenses running, and how you should perform remix, renew. This is a front end, and the interesting stuff is that the manager of MATLAB has not the same view that the manager of Mentor and the one of Synopsys. Each of these entries are separate in terms of management. You can have different wishes and advisors per tools, and they can operate separately. Now about the front end. So when I click here, I should see the product for sales or licensed from Mentor. So, okay, in this list, of course, you have a part number, a product name, you have features. You can have basic list price, which can be the official price list. This platform manages also financing. And of course, you will have special rate. So I will not give a lot of details about finance. So the basic price list is the one indicated by the vendor. Now, if I want to see the licenses that are running in the corporation, I click on the second button and I ask what are the current licenses running in my company. So you see here, first of all, it changes a little bit. You have product identifier. Here for Mentor, it's written, this is running. You have the features. You know that sometimes there are many features in Mentor product. It's a version of 2006, okay? You have a part number, a version, features, serial number in your company, how it's deployed. You have an expiration date. You have a 4 item running, a license cost and the total cost, and dummy data, of course. So first of all, why do I say that's in intelligent front end? If I am the manager of Mentor, now I go to Mentor Manager. For my software licenses. So first of all, I am the person who decides what I want to see. You have seen something, you have seen the dashboard in the home page. But this is the guy who decides that he wants to store and to remember to have a correct managing. So here I can have fields. And moreover, a field is typed. So when you see expiration date and you want to see what happens, expiration date is a type as a date as a type and can generate an alert 30 days before, and you can send a mail. So you see, just by saying that this is a date, this tool has a lot of intelligence. Also, when you say current cost, total cost, in fact, is the multiplication of the number of items multiplied by a cost. This is a Python script, a formula. So in fact, the field that you decide which field you want to see, and you decide the property of that field. So plenty of choices for your fields. And the D&R is adding fields when you need one. So parametric, Boolean attribute numbers, algorithmic calculation, full computation. You can have bridges. Also bridges. This is an important story too. So when you go here, it's written that the product are bridged to the mental product. That means that you have a link to another dashboard and you inherit the value. That means that the feature you have has already been enumerated in the other dashboard. So the manager has a front end with a lot of intelligence in it. And at any time, he can modify what he wants to see. Now, what does the manager want to see? Depending on the intelligence, we'll speak here about intelligence. Related to this front end, you will have monitoring data. And here I will go later on to monitoring data. Okay, and later on to intelligence. As a manager, I may want to remix. Remix is changing the seed distribution with the same total cost. So this tool will help you to remix independently of the advisor that we will see later on. When I click on remix, okay, the front end shows up and it says, what do you want to modify? So I have already tested it, you see. So I have ordered AccuPart V8, part number, serial number, blah, 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 4 ones. This is the first one. Imagine that finally I've gone from 4 to 5 and it's written in blue. There's a change occurring here. Similarly, I have one license for this one, okay? Maybe I would like to have 2. And I ask to refresh, okay? Maybe some of the software I would like to decrease the number. So you can decide if you would like in the remix process to order more or less. So here, for instance, I have 2, and for any reason I think that 1 could be enough. So I put 1 here, and I refresh. So I am in a situation to try some modification. Okay, I refresh. So all my modification will appear in blue. But of course, immediately the tool will compute, this is the last change I made, okay? So the tool, of course, will be capable to tell you if you spend more money or less money, okay? So it will tell you in the last column, the change of cost. Here it's positive, you are spending more money. So you can make changes, but after all, at a given point, you have to reach 0. So this is the primitive that you can use to make a global management and to reach a remix that makes your cost constant. So of course it depends on your strategy. Some people want to reach a 0 balance for the maintenance license and something different for the TBL and so on. The corporate strategy, of course, is the one that is carved in the tool. Now, when you have finished at a given point, you say, okay, what will you do? You will transfer this data in something called post-remix listing, okay? So from here, you see export, okay? Say, okay, I finished. Post-remix 1 is over, and this data will all be shifted here. And the next one, you will do that, and the next one, you may do that. And you keep, of course, the history. So the tool gives you a very pleasant front end to do your remix. The renew is a little bit similar, of course, except that you have not a strict limitation, maybe, in the variation of the cost. So this the remix and the renewal. You have an assistance in the front end to keep trace what you had before and what you will do next. Now I told you that, that it depends on the type of tool. If you are a MATLAB manager, you have other possibilities. So you can do the same story. I want to remix, but I can also, first of all, maybe, sorry, I should show first that for MATLAB, you may have a different format. You can say for this feature, I have NNU seeds, I have floating license, I have not lock license, so the format can be different. Now you can also optimize by changing your network name user. If you're familiar with MATLAB, you know that you can have network name user, a certain number of seats for the people in this group. But you can decide at any time, we say to remix. Remix means you have a front end, so you have a group, you have given network name seats to a certain number of people. You may ask to change it. So here the advisor will tell you, you should add this guy because he uses a lot and he should be in this group. You can also say, no, this guy is inactive for, I don't know, for 1 month. Why do you keep for him a network net user? So you can decide to change your option file for this tool. So at any time, you can also have a front end for modifying the option file. That means you import the option file from your server, you make changes here, and then it is posted again here, and you can update it. So the point is that the management feature you have here depend on the tool. So each manager is absolutely free to create the dashboard he needs and to take profit of all the power of the platform. Now I have promised to say, what do you do to add intelligence? So the story was, very often people have they have maybe a monitoring system on one place and they go back and forth. This cannot work really properly. So what we say that here, the same tool, the same front end, you are thinking of a remix or you get new license requests, but you need to know exactly now what's happening. So you click here and you have right away all what you need. So I take a short example. I want to know immediately what happened last week. Okay, so for this feature. So the tool proposed me 3 views. Do you want to see how the licenses are used? Do you want to know how the user behaves? Or do you want to know how the different division or business unit or groups are using these seats? So let me see. I want to see how these licenses are used. So for this week, you have immediately, for each day of that week, the total license available, the one who are used in general, which one are used in the floating, which one are used are not locked, and also how many users were exactly in parallel and how we're using in average. So there is an image here about standard average. That means average doesn't mean anything if you don't exclude the non-working hours or your weekend or your holidays. So this helps you to say, no, I want to have the average on working days and hours. So I will show how you manage this. Of course, you have the details every day, what happens exactly every day. You have curves. Curves gives, remember these are all dummy data. It gives you every day of the week what was the number of licenses used. You see not locked, the floating, the peak, the average, and the standardized average. You can also know what was the, okay, get rid of that, cannot. Okay, I can also show, go to this one. So peak versus average. This is another image. What was the hourly peak versus the average, but during the working hour? Okay, this gives you a view about the usage of the license. You can also see you have reserved seat in the option file. So it tells you you have 17 reserved seat for a group, and the average of end-use reserved seat, the wasting, is about 3. So you know also if your policy in terms of reserved seat is well managed. Now you can also have information about the behavior of the user. So if I go back to my monitoring, I work on a real tool, on a real platform. So So I go back to my week. I would like to have more data about user behavior. How many users are there? Do they come often? Do they come? Okay. So the user come in by their logging. So here you have a kind of alias, it's a group. So with the same logging, so people can show up. So here a specific user, individual user. So how long did they come? How long? Also we say duration, but when you have a we say corrected duration. If there is a concurrent usage at the same time, this group is using the licenses, we count their duration, of course, the concurrent duration, we sum the duration. And you can also show the percentage of each of these users that week. Then we put a kind of appreciation. We say this guy we can say maybe he can consider as a rare user, as a light user. So we can give I would say property on the user, and I will show you also what it means. We can also, when you say light user, rare user, you can have a kind of head count saying, okay, if I imagine that a rare user counts for 1/3 of a light or of an excessive user, we say we can have a kind of approximate head count. That means that overall, the number of licenses you could buy could be proportional, equal to this head count. So you have more and more also appreciation. If you use network name use activity, you can also look if it's good or not, if your management is very good. You have put 18 people during that are member of this group. So you have 9 who are active and 9 who are inactive. So over time you can see if the usage of this network name user is very clever or not. Last point on monitoring. You could see the division business unit view. That is also very important if you share, for instance, expenses. It's a small example with only 2 divisions. It's all dummy data, I told you. So this means that this division uses 70% of the usage is given to division A and 27% on division B. And if I count, this is the user base, so the number of licenses they use, it's not exactly the same. So you can also say, okay, let me distribute the expenses proportional to that. This gives you a finance possibility managing depending on use. We have many other scenarios, but this is one. So if I go back, the headcount could help you to say, okay, am I right when I order this number of licenses? The division view could tell you, I should distribute to the expenses to various divisions. So you have a large variety of strategy you can develop. Now I promised you also advisor. When you click here, in fact, how do you add intelligence? I spoke already about calendar reduction. When you do an average, take into account that people don't work between midnight and 7. Don't exclude the weekend, exclude the holidays. I would like to have the standardized average and not the kind of fuzzy stuff. So this is one of the advisor you can have. If you want to evaluate the heavy user, how many heavy users you have, you can say below 30% of the working time over a period is a rare user, but this absolutely, you can decide here to put 20. Intelligence and scenario are added in this tool by the administrator, not by the tool itself, of course. Now, sorry, I made a mistake. So, you can decide yourself how a user is evaluated. I spoke also about headcount. You can say, if I say that a rare user should be counted as 1/4 of a heavy, or I say that one light user is half of a heavy, and count a head count for me. You can also here say, give me an alert where a guy is more an excessive user who keeps his license the whole duration of a day, of a week, is immediately can generate an alert to the administrator. Maybe he went on home and left the license open. Okay, now, last but not least, you can introduce artificial intelligence rules. If the average of the capacity minus the license is very small, then you can emit an alert, I should purchase more. And depending on the profile of the user, the tool could even tell you, buy more floating or buy more not-locked. On the contrary, if you have a poor usage, the capacity minus the license more than N2, then purchase less floating or not-locked licenses. So these rules are customizable by you. And the good story is that you can any kind of artificial intelligence rule here in this tool. That means that when you go to renew, okay, let me go back. You are in a phase you have to renew, okay? Okay, so you care about money, that's for sure, current quantity. How many should I buy next year? So you can say, okay, let me look at the license subject, let me look at the head count, and let me look at the result of the purchase. So you have one data, two data, and then you can decide if you should buy more or less. So you see that you have everything on one sheet. Then we take the challenge that you can save a lot of money for your company. A big company with whom we worked saved $500,000, which was not so bad, just by using the front end, seeing who has what, and maybe also sharing usage between server and so on. What I have not demonstrated, of course, is the financial management in shared cost. We have a version where you charge a different business unit. They have to emit for you a PO, and you share the bills. This is fully supported also. So there is an infinite usage of features in this tool to carve in your intelligence and your rules.